everybody, it's Nikki and my beautiful helper Rhea on Learn As You Grow Homestead. We are going to be making bread this morning, and yep, it's already time to make some more bread because this is all there is left of 2 loaves that I've already made last weekend. So I shared a little. I gave a loaf, 3/4 of a loaf to William when he showed up. So and I just shared a little with others, but I just wanted to show you that this is a little bit that I had left 3 slices of my first loaf that I shared at work with a recipe that that was good, but I didn't love it like I love this recipe. So I'm not going to throw this away though. It's not moldy, it's not yucky, it's just thick and it's a little bit dense and not as fresh as we would like to have toast or sandwiches or whatever. But I'm not going to throw it. I'm going to make croutons out of it. I'm trying to get away from just throwing things away, so reuse them in another fashion. So I'm going to cut them into cubes and season them, probably brush them with some butter and put some seasonings on, and then bake them until they're nice and crispy and toasty, and then pop them in a ball jar, and then they'll stay good with a little packet, a little desiccant or some kind of little moisture absorber. So just want to show you that. Not much bread left, so we're going to get started making some more bread. And we need our yeast. I'm sorry, Sissy. So it's just instant yeast. I bought a big thing of it at H-E-B instead of the little packets. It's a little cheaper and just more cost effective, and it stays just fine in a jar. And actually, this is not a ball jar, but this is an old, a reused jar, and it had spaghetti sauce in it. Yeah, so we can reuse. All right, so the first part is proofing the yeast. So we're going to combine the yeast, which is 2½ teaspoons. Of dry active yeast. I'm going to use instant because I like it better. You want to do it? 2½? It doesn't matter if it's exactly even. I would, in fact, go a little more heaping than not. So that's 2 1/2. Okay, done with that. I tried to have everything laid out so it wouldn't be so weird and awkward, because we're kind of weird and awkward anyways, but we don't need any help doing that. So we're gonna cut, that's the yeast, and then we're gonna add the sweetener. So the sugar helps the yeast activate. And I've tried recipes that called for salt with a no sugar, no sweetener, but I think it kills the yeast. It never works. So if you want sugarless bread, this isn't the recipe for you. So we're gonna actually just use a regular old spoon instead of a measuring, because it doesn't have to be exact. So I'm gonna do this one because it's really kind of, or you can do it, it's kind of messy. So we're just, there's 1 tablespoon of sweetener to start in the yeast. And since it's bread just for us, I'm just going to use my finger and smear it off of there. I'm going to try not to take so terribly long on this video, but normally I would, but I won't today. And then we're going to add our warm water, and it needs to be less than 130 degrees or it'll scorch that yeast and burn it, then it won't work. So even if you can kind of tell by touch, I have a little thermometer in here and we're right at about 120 or so, so that's probably perfect. So we're going to just pour it right in to the yeast and honey mixture. And I'm going to use that same honey spoon, and it's warm enough to melt that honey off of the spoon. Good thing I didn't lick it. And then just kind of stir it once and let it sit. And then you're going to be done with that for a little while. It needs to sit for 5 or 10 minutes or until it gets kind of frothy and bubbly. And that's when you'll know that your yeast is activated. And then you just want to leave it, stir it and leave it. Okay? Meanwhile, while that's going, we're going to make our sponge And that is to combine melted butter. We have a 1/4 cup of butter that we've already melted, so we could kind of be a little more efficient. And salt. So we're going to get our bowl, our big bowl. Now you can't see what's going on over here, but that's okay. And we are going to combine the melted. And then it is 2 teaspoons of salt. You guys good? I'm not sure if that one's going to be big enough and thick enough soon, so I'm going to stir it around. Okay. We've got doggies over here too. Sorry, we're kind of multitasking. Yeah, the yeast is looking good. It's already getting a little bit frothy over there. So our butter and salt are in. And then we're going to add 2 cups of water, which we already have in this right here. Ready? You want to pour it in? And it's just room temperature water. Probably could have been warm because of the melted butter. We don't want it to congeal, but it'll be okay, I think. I hope. I just reserved this same water thing to put my spoon in. I'm going to show you this real quick. I'm not sure I'm going to move this camera so you can see it. Tip it down. See how it's already getting frothy? Pretty awesome. But I'm going to put it right back so I don't mess with that yeast. Be careful to put that back. Okay, we'll be right back in just a minute to keep going and show you what else we're doing, okay? Okay, so we're back and the yeast has proofed enough. And we are going to combine this yeast. She's laughing because it did congeal. The butter did congeal a little bit in that water. So I would recommend warm water when you're adding it to your butter. Okay, so we're going to add this yeast to the mixture here. Put it all in. Okay, it's all bubbly. Don't stir yet, please. Set that bowl aside. We've got the salt in there already, 2 cups of water, and now we're going to need 3 more tablespoons of honey and clean spoon to dip back in. So 1. Doesn't have to be exact. 2, because it doesn't hurt. 3. You can also substitute honey for pure maple syrup, and that's a wonderful alternative too. And I have some of that, but I really love honey, and it's better for you, and I think. But it is an expense, but what I've learned is that just like any family, you put value on what you love or use a lot. So, okay, you want to stir that up, please?
Like actually stir it?
Mm-hmm.
Chunky.
It is. Okay, we're going to measure out our flour now. So we're going to add 4 cups of flour, and always use your heaviest first. So if you're going to use wheat flour, always put that in first. But again, today I'm just going to use white bread flour because that's what I have. It's this massive bag, so I want to get it all used up before it expires. So we're going to measure that out and be right back. Okay, so we've got 4 cups of flour that we're putting in, and I just want you to know what I've done here since my butter kind of congealed. Problem. So I put the whole bowl over a steaming pot of water on the stove so as to kind of just remelt my butter here, because I hope it didn't mess up my yeast. We'll see. Anyway, okay. Yep. There's 1. A little faster, maybe. 2.
How many? 4?
Mm-hmm. 3. 4. Okay, and once you get that in, you're going to stir vigorously in one direction, about 100 strokes.
Take a drink.
I'm going to come over here on this side. This is very exciting to watch, isn't it? And it looks like slop. Looks like just a bunch of one direction. Just keep going, keep going, keep going. If you haven't ever made bread, you really should. I mean, it's kind of therapeutic in a weird way. But it's also, it's not expensive. It's really cost effective because you're buying all the ingredients at first. That's your initial cost. You want to stir for a minute? Take a turn this way. Okay, counterclockwise. That's the way I started. Anyways, it's pretty cost effective. You just have to initially buy all the ingredients, but it lasts a long time. And by the time you spend $2.50 on a loaf of bread a week, you could have bought all the ingredients. So like one big huge thing of yeast was like $2.50, and that filled the entire jar of yeast. And then there's vital wheat gluten, which is about $5.99 for a bag of Bob's Red Mill, and that's really a good brand. Salt, honey, flour, a bag of flour. Nope, I told you to go the same way, girlfriend. I'm trying to get a lot of air in there, so pretty quick, vigorously, vigorously. Teach your kids how to make bread, it's fun.
It's probably not as fun for them.
Not as fun for them. Oh yeah, okay, we're probably good.
Like 172.
Okay, we're gonna scrape down the sides a little bit. Then this is what we're gonna do. Sprinkle the remaining flour on top. So we're gonna put that back in our thing. So we've got 3 more cups of flour right on top. Just sprinkle it on. Come on, girl. That's 1.
Oh, okay.
2.
3.
Make sure I haven't forgotten anything. Okay, and then a half a cup of vital wheat gluten. So the wheat gluten, I know, gluten-free, but you're probably not going to be making or eating bread if you are gluten-free. So, unless you're buying gluten-free bread, and then, holy cow, expensive. So, I'm sure there's a recipe out there that's gluten-free bread, but that's not this one, okay? And so, careful. Don't dump it out because it's expensive. Do it over this pan if you're going to do it like that. Careful, it may dump. Whoop, there it went. Okay, so you just put it right on top. Just put that vital wheat gluten right on top. And then you cover it for about 1.5 to 2 hours. And put it in a warm place. I just cover it with I get an entire towel wet. I wet this with warm, almost hot water. And you want to do that? I'll wring it out if it's too hot, okay? And then I cover this whole bowl, and it needs to get really big. It needs to rise, okay? And it's going to look completely different, obviously, and all of this flour on top is gonna it's gonna sort of separate, and you'll see how when it rises it sort of disappears a little bit. But we'll come back and show you that after a while. Be back in a couple of hours after it rises. Back, and I just want to show you what we've got here. It's been rising, proofing for about 2 hours, and so if you can see, let me just bring the phone down to it. You can see the difference right here where this flour has come kind of sunk around the bottom, into the bottom. So that's what you want right there. Okay, now we're going to mix it. Maybe. Okay, we're just going to mix this around. Incorporate that rest of that flour that we put on top. We went and ran some errands while it was proofing, so we have a wardrobe change. Sorry about the camera work here, guys. It gets a little tough to stir because it's thick from all of the flour. It's a good thing though. Let me know when you want to take a turn. Me to take a turn. Ready? Okay. And scrape down the sides. And it's real sticky right now, which is okay. It's good, actually. So at this point, we're gonna, what we're looking like, okay? We're gonna flour the surface, a clean surface, quite a bit. Okay, just kind of spread it around a little bit. You're gonna turn out your dough. I can tell you what I did while for rising, or to proof actually. I turned on the oven on the lowest setting. I think it was 170, and I got it to temperature. And then I turned it off, and I kept the light on in the oven. Not yet. And then I put the bowl in to proof for that 2 hours. So just on my hands, please. So I didn't keep the oven on, but it did its business in the oven after I turned it off. So it was just nice and warm in there. So right now we're gonna start kneading the dough. So you have a clean work surface, clean and dry, and then you just flour it. And so you're gonna need extra flour for kneading, obviously, for your hands, clean hands. So you're just gonna press and turn. And then flop it over, press, and turn. If you run out of flour, then you might get messy. That's why you need a really cool apron. Just keep kneading. This is about 10 or 15 minutes worth. Okay. Just get my flour over here. The dough is kind of warm, and it's really soft. The wheat gluten really makes for a nice spongy soft bread. Okay, now we're getting sticky, so we need some more flour on the surface and the hands here. Okay, just bring this back over. Just get some on your hands out of the bag. Just fold and turn and mash. Mash, fold.
You know, I think you're probably gonna use like 1 cup of flour for it.
You just keep going like that for about 10 or 15 minutes. It's a good arm workout. But it gets everything mixed in.
You know, I think you're gonna be using
My assistant's on the other side of the camera right now. I don't know why. So I just want y'all to know that Dean just asked me and said to me, wow, that's a lot of work. When you could just run down to the store and buy a bag of bread for $2.50. Exactly what I said on this video earlier, huh? But he said if you enjoy it, that's all that matters to him. It's getting sticky. And I do enjoy it. It's just one step closer to our homestead for me, learning all these lost ways. And it is kind of a lost way because even in our generation, it's just easier to just run to the store and buy a loaf of bread. We're busy, right? But a lot of junk, preservatives, and all kinds of junk in our bread and in everything we eat, actually. Okay, I'm going to keep going on this kneading for a little while, and we'll be back, okay? Okay, so we've been kneading here for a little while, and we've got a nice blob of dough here. And so, one more time, so you mash, fold, mash, turn, fold, mash, turn, fold. You've got a nice blob here. So let me show you real quick. When you push your finger in and it bounces back pretty well, that's pretty good. And also the stretch of the dough. It's pretty good. It's not shaggy. It's not too shaggy. Shag is the baker's term for when it just kind of pulls apart like a, I don't even know how to tell you. Anyways, so you're gonna grease the pan up the same bowl that you started in. I'm just gonna spray it with this coconut oil. Put your blob of dough back in. Toss it around just to kind of get that. You can put butter, you can use coconut oil or olive oil or whatever, but just so it doesn't stick. Okay, here's the second rise. There's the dough in the same pan. And we are going to cover it and put it back in the warm oven or a warm place for another 40 minutes or 45 minutes. And it will rise, it will double in height or in size, double in size. And then we will come back, we'll punch it down, and then we will roll it out and make it into loaves. And then it has to rise one more time, another 40 minutes after it's in the loaf pans. Okay, welcome back. So I just wanted to show you where we're at right now. So I just got this out of the warm oven. Like I said, I had it on about 170 just to sort of preheat. And then I turned it off and set it in. Set the dough in to rise for 40 minutes. And so I'm taking off the damp towel. And I put on a parchment paper because I didn't want it to stick to my towel. I did that also. It's learn as you grow. Remember? That's my web idea. Learn as you grow. So that's what we do. All right, set those aside. So look at this. It's nice and just barely warm, the pan or the bowl. And look how big. It's awesome. And it smells amazing. Of course, I love the smell of bread. But anyway, so right now, the next step, and I'm sorry the dishwasher's going. Hoping it's not too loud in the background. Now's the time to punch it down, okay? So here we go. It's so satisfying. It's crazy. so satisfying. Okay, so we punch it down, and then we're just gonna pull it gently. Gonna put a little flour on the work surface. Hopefully the same clean work surface that you had before. We're gonna turn it out. Turn it out. Okay, set that aside. So right now what I've got is 2 pans. Okay, excuse my little sad tinfoil pans. But guess where my loaf pans are? In storage. In storage, yep. So these are the ones I used last time. I have one here, but I need more than one. Yeah, so I'm just kind of reusing these. I used these last time, and I'm just reusing them. It's totally fine. I know they're aluminum, but so spray them with a good spray or wipe it with butter. Okay. Then I wanted to show you this real quick. This is the bag, the big bag of yeast. It's, you know, the vacuum sealed and whatever. So keep the extras in the freezer. All right, so that's the one that I poured into the jar. Okay, so here we go. Here we go. We've got the dough. Okay. So now that it's risen, we've punched it down. We're gonna cut it into 2 pieces. Just 2 pretty even pieces. You can flour your knife if you want to. Just cut it. Doesn't have to be perfect. Set one aside. Okay, you don't have to have any special tools or whatever. You don't have to have a rolling pin. You can if you want. Just dust it a little and start rolling it out. If you don't have a rolling pin, guess what God gave you? Hands. Just gonna flatten it out a little bit. Okay, we're gonna make it into a sort of an oblong, rectangle-ish shape. Okay, once you've got that done, we're gonna pull and fold, like we're rolling it like a jelly roll. Okay, rolling it like a jelly roll. Okay. It's fighting me a little bit. Rolling it. And then we're going to tuck the ends. Can you see how that's rolled up right there? Oops. We're going to just tuck, squeeze all the air out, tuck it over, kind of use your fingers and go like this. Roll it. Do the other side. Got too much flour up here on the top. Just tuck, squeeze all that air out. Tuck, tuck, tuck like this. See, we're just going to tuck it. And we're going to plop it in. Just tuck it. Okay, there it is. Number 2. Not too much flour. I put too much flour on the first one. Got your second one, second loaf. So nice and fluffy. I love it. I'd rather use my hands than the rolling pin, quite honestly. Same with the dirt. My nail lady says, why do you no use gloves? That's how she says it. And I say, because I must feel the dirt in my hands. She said, no, you need to use gloves. Nope, I must feel it. Same with this bread. I want to feel it. In my hands. It's kind of the point, right? To me it was anyway. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and roll a little bit. A lot of people use like a French rolling pin. Well, this is a piece of, I'll get that out. This is just a regular. Okay. Just this funny shape. We'll see how it turns out different. Okay. We're gonna just tuck and roll pretty tight. Okay. Tuck and roll. Got it a little thin in the center right there, so that's why it's got that funny. Okay. Gives it character. Every single one's different. Tuck the ends. Give it a little tuck the ends over. Okay. Plop it in. Okay, third rise. There it is. We got two. This one's a little bigger, I think. Yep, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. So now what we're going to do, don't mess with them too much. It's okay, they're not perfect, but it doesn't matter. They're going to taste amazing. Okay, now what I'm going to do is cover them, put them back in to the warm oven one more time for another 40 minutes. And they're going to rise until they get above the rim of your pan. Okay, so I'll be back and I'll show you what they look like whenever they're risen up past the rim. And then we get to bake them. Okay, see you soon. Everybody, okay, so here's what it looks like. It is been in this just warm oven with the light on. Sorry, my hand in front. And they're just over the top. This one's a little bigger than this one. We knew that already, but they are going to be amazing. Okay, it's time to turn them on 350 degrees for 40 minutes. And then you have to wait to eat them.